Welcome back to Fleetyards Mission Briefings, everyone. Your weekly dose of sci-fi goodness that's not Star Trek related. From us here at Trekyards/Fleetyards. I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Connor Coggins. Today, another fun episode of a ship from the big multiverse. There's so many shows, movies, animes, comic specials, really interesting ships that are one-off, franchise-based. There's the big Star Wars and there's the small, God knows what. We'll cover them all eventually. Always fun stuff to see on Fleetyards.
Absolutely. And today we've got something that's kind of a mystery vehicle for now. We're going to kind of play a little game here with the first picture.
Yes, so I picked this one and I got the pictures. But Stuart, this is how we first see it. What do you think the ship is based on this picture and the design? Can you tell me the sci-fi alien race? I will say alien. Not the biggest clue I know, but still, alien.
Well, judging by this look at the Earth or a planet, it could be Independence Day. It could be, the
That's
aliens
a good guess.
approaching Earth.
Yeah.
And the colors with the red and the black, it could almost be a Star Wars ship, although we know it's not because we decided not to go Star Wars this time. However, in looking at the little things on the side, it's obviously an alien language of some kind. Maybe not obvious, but I recognize it. So,
Yes, we do know some things about some big stuff. Yes, this is... I love your Independence Day reference, because yes, the shapes are very, very similar. But if we go straight to the next picture, I'm hoping our fans will recognise what ship this is, or at least what race. Stuart, we're looking at the Predator ship from Alien vs. Predator 1 and 2.
And I love Predators. I mean,
Yes.
I think they're amazing.
Yes.
Way better than Alien, by the way. Although a lot of people argue with me on that. Predators are awesome. So this was a great ship to pick. I wouldn't necessarily consider this for Fleetyards. So I'm glad you did choose this and threw it in today's lineup. I think it's fantastic, and I would love talking more about the Predator, because we've got to talk about his armor sometime on Fleetyards. I think that'd be cool too.
Yes, and multiple variations. Well, I have interest. I've been going to cons for over 10 years now, and you've gone to a couple. Have you ever seen a Predator in real life, a full costume Predator?
With the mask on, yes.
Okay.
But I know there's ones that they can take their mask off as well.
Yeah.
And have so kind of, yeah.
They're very impressive in real life, aren't they?
Yeah.
The proper
they
costume ones. I love them. But Stuart, this is the inside of the ship. Let's go to the next picture and we get our first look at the Predator ship from the distant past, which is sort of being... I mean, every pre-universe is its own separate sub-universe, because the new Alien Covenant sort of retconned out a lot of the backstory, because these things obviously fought aliens and blah, 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 but minds, whatever. So you can see it from a distance, but first impression, what did you think of the ship when you saw it in AVP, or did it even register to you? Because it's sort of in the movie, like, when you look for pictures, you can find some really great angles, but it's seen so fleetingly.
Honestly, it never really registered for me. I was never looking specifically for the ships in this show, so this shot's interesting. Although from this first view of it, I really get a Cobra head appearance, or even like a Stargate ship. It almost seems like something out of Stargate, especially above a pyramid like that.
Yeah, that's almost identical to the serpent head mask that Apophis' guards use. Although I will just note, having also looked at this ship, the one to the left looks like a different design. Maybe.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it just could be the angling of it. But, that one almost looks like a Battlestar. At least the front part, anyway.
But if we go to the next picture, we see it. And again, it's very sort of fleeting, but this is a little bit closer. So you get a sense of the design. It's got the two modules. It's got the front head section with bits in between. Now, what's interesting, I would not have clocked this as a Predator design. The styles don't match. That said, I love this as a design. I love the angles. They're so pointy but not pointy, and there's so much little details, and again, we'll see that more as the pictures become quite clear, because there's lots of little pictures as we go through to show little details. It's kind of tricky to get a big picture of the whole thing. Any thoughts you have about the design in general?
Well, it's very beetle-like. It's got like a beetle shell and some beetle appendages. So it does, like you said, it doesn't necessarily say Predator. If you put a Predator, picture the Predator mask, and this side by side, there's no real correlation as far as design goes. So, yeah, but I like you said, I love the design of the ship. It looks very cool, but I would not necessarily peg it as a Predator vessel.
Well, it is worth noting, though, that Predators, each mask is different. And I've seen a lot of custom masks as well. So you know, it's a, and this is, you know, it takes longer to build a spaceship than does a mask, so who knows where it's based from. But the next picture is interesting. You get a much better sense of the actual ship. So a lot of details are visible here, and also not because it's snowing. But I love the pods. It's got these big recessed segments that help punctuate the smoothness, which I really like, and a lot of visible windows, which should give you an interesting sense of scale. Yeah, because it feels like quite a small ship to me, like a Corvette, like a just by the design. But these windows, and we know Predators are bigger than us, so their window scale will also be slightly bigger. What do you think about the scale based on this or other design things?
You basically just said it all. Initially, from those first pictures, I thought it was a little bit of a smaller vessel, but seeing the window layout here, it's obviously fairly substantial in size. So I never would have guessed that, to be honest. Even though I love Predator, I've seen all the movies. This is my first real look at this ship close up in all these little frames, which I love about Fleetyards. Any of our mission briefings, we always get into such great discussions on these little details that nobody really notices. So I never would have expected it to be this big.
It's all designed, guys. It really is. You know, that's the point. This stuff is really designed. If you go to the next picture, you have a slightly better or slightly more detailed view of the cutouts. Now, my gut says these are weapon ports. That you've got the smaller, like, tubey thing. I think they're just clear, maybe. My gut would be that's like the power generation and the turret for the beam.
That's interesting that's your gut reaction, because my gut reaction is those are auxiliary craft that undock and come out.
Right. Oh.
Because this could be the bigger ship that stays in orbit, and then the little Predator ship that just a single-person vehicle or whatever could. That's what I get from that picture, but I do see possibility for weapons turrets.
I totally get that. See, the thing about the ship, and there is a wiki about it, although I'm not sure how much information's really been put in. This is actually called a mothership, or the, get ready for butchering the pronunciation, Jagdajeu Atoll in the Yadul language, which I guess is the name of the Predators, maybe, I don't know. It does have secondary craft, which makes sense with the mothership. I mean, you wouldn't need to dock, you wouldn't need to land the entire mothership to go hunt. I mean, again, this sort of like the Klingons in a sense. These, or at least now, I really don't want to categorize the entire race as being about hunting. I think that undervalues them as a culture. Just saying they're hunters. All they do is hunt things. No, I'm sure it's just, you know, there are hunting branches of their government, you know, of their culture, and these are the ones we see. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So if this is here, and we see it in the flashback, so we know that it was used in the hunting, because that was them setting up for the alien Scourge, or they made it. We know this is at least a hunting iteration of one of their craft. So yes, I mean, having, you know, ship-to-ship lasers is not necessarily going to be priority, whereas having things like for hunting makes way more sense.
I agree with all that, especially the part about the society, the culture, because there's an episode of Enterprise where they talk about the Klingons, and the lawyer says, "You don't think we're all warriors, do you?"
Yeah,
because it's just a generalization. So yeah, it's interesting because we don't know the context of the universe. Like, do they have ship-to-ship battles with other races? Like. So I don't know what the armament of a ship would be, or that's very interesting. Actually, never really considered that, but yeah.
I mean, it's all contextual. I mean, you look at the Defiant from Star Trek, a tough little ship, comparing to Enterprise D.
Little.
Yeah, it's always the joke to always be made. You can't compare the D and the Defiant. They're totally different designs. One's designed for a purpose, one's designed for another purpose. So this ship is not necessarily reflectant of the whole thing. It could literally be, you know, a private yacht or the equivalent. You know, a Predator that really likes to send his, you know, friends out hunting. So he's made this really cool private yacht ship. Yeah.
Or each clan or each family, they take the ship out, and then the young ones, to prove their worth, they go on their first hunt, and that's exactly what I would suspect from this culture. So.
Yeah, you're right. It could just be literally a you know, mark of age. You know, you need to hunt, and then those take more seriously do. If you go to the next picture, though, it's a little bit tricky to see, but again, very quick things. You can see 3 pods, the 3 hunter pods being launched. And there's a one-man dropship pods like we have in Halo. So you can see, obviously, scale is very tricky, but you can see how minuscule they are compared to the ship. Yeah. And also some of the back details. It's got, I guess, a D7 style bottom bump, which is, fun.
Yeah, those are very small. That kind of takes my auxiliary craft landing ship thing out of the equation, because they launch like the single person pods to do the hunting, right? So.
But that's just to get down to planet quickly, though. I mean, you need to pick them up. There are variations of such. The younglings have the small things.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
The next picture is, I don't know what this is. What am I looking at?
That's the front pods that we just talked about. The ship's now going forward past camera.
Gotcha. Yeah, here they could be turrets, but I think they're auxiliary craft that come out, and those could be engines on the side. That's my thinking, anyway.
And again, I think it also backs up my point, the fact that you can tell from the left one, it has got sight outside of the zones, the holes. They're more turrety, but I agree, it could be the one. Although having them be that organic compared to the mothership maybe doesn't work if they're engines, but that's minuscule given that, a shuttle versus a capital. I mean, the box of the Constitution class versus the, Connie herself. I just find this interesting because of the amount of windows, the amount of light, the amount of things. I don't think the ship was very well thought out. Most ships aren't because they don't need to be. But I always find these things a little bit interesting.
Next picture is it landing. Again, those aren't windows on the bottom, I would assume. Those are just like landing lights or something, just to look cool.
See, my gut said they were windows, very oddly placed windows. But I like the landing lights idea. Yeah.
Well, they could be on the floor of a hallway, like you walk and you can walk over those. But here we get a sense of scale for sure. You can see the light post and the woman here, so pretty big ship.
Yeah, which is where scale comes in, because the next picture, it's landed after not being cloaked. It's decloaked and has to. This is where, this is when the movie sort of betrays itself a little bit, I think, because, we show three. First movie has one predator. Second movie has one, and then a couple appear at the end. Predators, ignore it completely. This movie, with three predators. The mothership, and especially in Requiem, the sequel, the predator ship then crashes. But look at this point of this movie. Huge ship, dozens of predators. And they're not all going to be out saluting, because why the hell would you, That's a lot of predators in this ship. A lot of hunters.
Well, it'll be interesting to find out, like, crew complements and sizing, like exact sizing. Because I think it would really put things into context, which we tend to do here. We tend to have scale charts and things, but we can't do that for every ship, unfortunately.
Although I'm wondering, how is this thing landing on the ice if you can see those hatches have opened up, but the ship is sort of pointy at the front? Well, I guess it's flat. I thought it was more at an angle. No, I suppose it is flat, isn't it? I guess the engines must move up. I mean, they're on sort of joints, so I guess they must move
Probably,
up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of windows, and it also puts that into scale. And can you tell anything else? Because again, we get another great view of this pod area. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't really discern anything that's worth mentioning. Just really cool. It's visually stunning. Like, I love seeing it, but again, I don't think a super lot of thought was put into the actual design and things. So.
I do like this shot in particular because they've just fought a queen. Spoilers, and one predator is so capable. That's a lot of predators. This as an army, this would be, oof.
Well, the aliens are intense, so we got to send out the regiment or the squadron, as it were, to crush them. So,
yeah.
Next shot is it in orbit, and again, this is very much similar to the first shot we saw of it above the pyramid. Again, I get a very much of a Stargate feel from this. Very Egyptian looking almost.
Yeah, and it's leaving the planet, which is the next picture I want to point out because the engine modules actually retract back into the hull. I guess when they're preparing to leave our solar system at a faster pace. And again, you get a real set. It's a big ship. But I like all the lights. It doesn't feel like a warship to me, given how many lights there are, how much is exposed. You know, it feels like just a ship they would have as a transport. You know, it's a for purpose ship. Although I'm interested to what the purpose of those retractable parts are, because they're very simple. It's just two flat things. There's no glowy elements at all. We never, I mean, in Aliens, and all the Alien films, there's never a talk of FTL. It's always, you know, cryo sleep. Time passes, we get there. This is another race, obviously. But I have no clue how FTL would work in this universe. We never see any glimpse of it. So I'm really intrigued as to how it would do what.
That's true. Now, those retractable parts I see more as for helping with atmospheric flight. That's why they would retract them in once they get...
Okay.
Because, you know, for atmospheric flight, you need visible control surfaces and stuff to help with the atmosphere. So that would make sense to me. As far as FTL and stuff goes, you got me there. I have no idea.
Well, that's genius. I mean, we don't see them launch pods. Although I guess in Predator 1, that's a different ship. We do see them launch from orbit, but, you know, it's safer to launch these pods from less... You know, the less high up, I'm sure, the less they're likely to die on impact. So it's designed to go in atmosphere and do things. So yeah, you'd build it with that in mind. Yeah, that's brilliant. But for me, it feels a little bit like a city in space. You know, like this could be an entire clan. Well, Mothership is the word they use, so an entire clan Mothership.
Yeah, I could definitely see this as part of the ragtag fleet from Battlestar Galactica too.
And the next picture is when it's starting to leave the situation, and you can see the back, which we haven't seen yet. 3 distinct engines, and I do like the very sort of pointy, sleeky, sort of like... for me, that looks like a pincer at the back of a cobra, and then, you know, arms or tendrils or something.
Yeah, it's got... I don't know if you've ever watched Beast Wars, but
you know I have.
Very much like a depth charge look. Right. When he's in robot mode with the... Anyway, that's totally separate. Sorry, guys. I just see similarities with different things from different universes, so...
Yeah.
And the next...
I also certainly get the Beetle vibe. I mean, you've got the arm on the outside, all the lights on the inside. That certainly makes sense to me. And I will... One last thing on this picture. On the potentially engine modules, do they look like the same whole... zones as the front of the ship, because they've got other circle elements, or do you think that's functionally different?
I'd say it's probably different by the looks of it, but again, we're just spitballing here because we don't really know. There's just no real information. So next shot is a shot of the interior, like the first shot we got, but this is what the funeral bed, or the whatever you want to call it. Very cool observation port. Now, I don't know. I don't think we ever see the bridge, per se, of the ship. I don't know if there is one, if there's a control bridge, or how this works exactly, but I don't know if this is some kind of ritualistic observation thing. This race seems very ritualistic in what it does, so who's to say what's going on here exactly, but very cool.
Yeah, well, it doesn't look like a bridge because there's no control interfaces, but we know that tube on top fired the laser that reactivated the pyramid, so it's a functional area at the very least. And this is I brought these in to re-mention the interior, because at the end of Alien, AVP1 I should say, obviously the great spoilerific moment is that, you know, the Predator, there's 3 in the movie, apart from these extras, and he gets infected by a facehugger, and we finally answer that question: what if a Predator and an alien had a baby and lived together happily ever after? And so there's, I mean, very, very notable, and if you watch the film you can see it happening, and it's very telegraphed, but hey. So the final moment is an alien chestburster, a hybrid, which is a wonderful concept, I do think it's a wonderful concept, breaks forth of the Predator chest in this zone, and then the second movie, which happened quite a few years later, picks up from that beat. What's funny is that, you know, this shot is, I mean, in this shot you can see the room, you can see everything about it, right? It's pretty obvious what's happening. And they literally they showed scenes. So if you cut to the next picture, is the cut in Requiem.
Different table.
Very, very different table. Yes, and the planet's a different location, different arrangement. The stars in a different place, and it's much, 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 much darker. I mean, it's ludicrously dark in comparison. They obviously didn't rebuild the entire set. I just like the fact that the director wanted to have his own mark on the film. That they literally obviously we should refilm it. That's quite cool. But literally, change the entire feel of this bit, and even change the chest bursting moment. And although they kept the design of the ship almost identical, I think there are some subtle changes. So if you go to the if you go to the next picture though, there is a few minutes that we spend on the ship, which is good because I wanted to learn all about the ship. And so this is one of our few, and I uplit this in post to see things. So this is an interior hallway of the Predator ship, at least of the Requiem design style. What do you think about this?
Typical Alien kind of vibe. I mean, you got the steam, you got the dark corridors. It's not much to say really. There's a lot of piping and stuff. I mean, it's very. You see the functional aspects of it. It's not made for comfort or it's basically just functionality wise. It works.
But I don't know if you agree. I hope you do. Do you think it seems too primitive for a Predator, design wise?
A little bit. But as we know from the Predators, they hunt other species, so why not confiscate their ships as well, and use one of their prey's ships per se? So I don't know, man. That's a good question.
Yeah, I never really enjoyed this interior stuff, and the fact that I know you've got killing a Pred hybrid, but to fire your bolts, very very powerful disruptive bolts inside your own ship when you know where the hull is. It's like, what are you doing? Why? I mean, they crashed this ship, and then so I specifically lingered on the fact there's so many Predators. This ship crashes, and all 4 dozen Predators die, none escape, and so they leave, killing the alien Pred to another team. And it's like, really, the entire.
Good point.
If it was this small ship with like 5 guys, beautiful, but a mothership with that many, you forget there's that many Predators in it. You really do. There's no other context in the movie apart from that one moment. So I don't buy how Requiem redid it, personally. I like the movie, actually. I like the battles and stuff. I think they're quite nicely done. Although it's a very strange movie. But yeah.
Before we move on to the last picture, I'm kind of disappointed you didn't include the one from Predators where you show the trophy room with all the skulls on the wall as part of the interior.
What can you say about it apart from it's a trophy room? I mean,
I know, but it's cool. It just shows more of the ritualistic aspects of the species.
Yeah, we see it in this movie as well. Yeah.
So, but anyway, last picture. This is a shot of it leaving Earth, as it were. You see the engines at the back again.
Well, this is it crashing actually.
Crashing.
Wow, yeah, this is. I was trying to see the differences between the two designs, but it's so dark. So if we end on the obelisk picture, so I quite like the obelisk picture. You can see it a lot better in AVP1. So yeah, Stuart, closing thoughts on this design. The first and only Predator ship we get to see probably from the external.
Fantastic design, very original, very cool looking.
Yep.
It doesn't necessarily say Predator to me. Like I said, it's more of a Stargate vibe for me.
Yep.
But I would definitely love to learn more about this. I mean, I wonder how fleshed out it actually is, whether fans have done more detailed information, or whether the comics explore it a little bit more, give us a little bit more feedback. I'd love to see more of their fleet. I'd just love to see how their design aesthetic works, and I would love to see more.
Yeah, I just read back up the. It has got a laser beam weapon, and it didn't just trigger the pyramid; it actually cut through the ice. So there's a beam capable of cutting through hundreds of meters of ice in an instant. So there is some pretty decent tech aboard this ship, and certainly I would love to learn more about it. But yeah, that is it this time from Fleetyards. Hope you guys have enjoyed a look at a ship we wouldn't necessarily think to look at, but again, we like looking at, and I think it's a good design. A good design should be talked about and theorised about. I just wish we saw it in more detail. But hey, future Fleetyards, if you want to see it as a full episode, let us know. I think it'd be a lot of fun. My closing thoughts, yep, it's a great design. And if you guys want to see more Fleetyards and looks at these interesting ships, there are 2 ways you can directly support us, either by our Patreon, which is a monthly donation scheme. You can give a little bit each and every month, along with hopefully hundreds of other fans. And if you all give, we can keep making the show, keeping the lights on, and paying for trips and doing other really cool things, like upgrading sound and video. It gives us a budget to actually make the show and pay for rent, which needs to be paid for. Or a one-time donation at trekyards.com. You know, if you get a paycheck rise and you want to say, hey, I'll throw $50 towards Trekyards because I watch 15 videos a month, send it along and we'll absolutely put it towards the show. But that's not the only way, Stuart.
That's right. That's not the only way you can help us. You can share this video around to anybody you think will enjoy it. Lots of sci-fi fans out there, and a lot of groups that might not know what a predator ship looks like, because I really didn't. I didn't really pay that much attention when I watched the movies, so very cool to look at it. Also, don't forget to click the like button to help us out. Subscribe so you help yourself out and you don't miss any great goodness from us. There's also a little bell notification icon. Click that so you get notified every time we do an upload.
Yes.
And yeah, hopefully you guys really enjoyed this episode. I certainly did, and looking forward to learning more about this ship in the future, perhaps. So anyway, guys, until next time, this has been Fleetyards Mission Briefings. I'm Captain Foley.
I am Commander Cockens.
We'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.